Welcome back to From Blank Page to Book. I'm Heather Greer. This is our second episode, and today's reader question is, what stage of the writing process is most magical for you as an author? And for me, that's going to be probably the beginning. I love when I get the spark of a new idea. Of course, I also really love when the book is finally done and the readers get to read it and I get feedback from them. So there are really a lot of really magical times, but those would be my top two. And now we're going to hear from some of my other author friends as far as what their favorite times are.
Okay, confession alert. I hate editing, you guys. I've really struggled with getting a positive mindset about editing. I've gotten better, I promise, but I have I've already written it once. Why do I have to rewrite it? But I've gotten better, and I've had a wonderful editor at Skirnings Press who has helped me so much grow and develop as an author. I don't feel like I really knew how to learn how to write until I got my first batch of development edits on my brand new little baby book one. So I do appreciate that, but I do love finishing the first draft. And so writing it once is usually my favorite part. But then I do love seeing the cover, getting it in my hands, and actually giving it and having the readers be able to read it too. That is probably the most magical part.
The most magical part of writing for me is when my fingers get going on the keyboard, or sometimes with the pen and a paper. I'll be thinking I know what I'm going to write, and I get into the midst of it and it starts to change. And I'm not calling it automatic writing, but there's this abiding in the Lord that happens, and it just kind of flows, and it's like my fingers know what they're supposed to say. And then I sit back and I read that section and I'm blown away. I'm like, whoa, I just wrote that? I'm just as surprised as you are.
Probably the most magical part of the writing process for me is when I finish my first draft and I can see the themes clearly that have woven through the characters and the story, and I can go back and I can solidify those and just polish it up a little bit, and it really shines. That's the most magical part to me.
For me, I think the moment when I get that first snippet of an idea and start to imagine what the story will look like, or what the project, if it's nonfiction, will look like, the theme that I want to focus on, the direction I feel like God is giving me. So that initial idea, when everything is fresh and new and you're starting to figure out how it's going to develop.
I think the most magical part of the writing process for me is the editing. As a pantser, it takes me a good while to get the first draft on the page, and it's very difficult. I feel like I'm squeezing blood from a turnip sometimes to get the story out there. But once that's done and I can go back and add in more descriptions and the 5 senses, find the best word or phrase choice, just go deeper with the point of view. I love all of that and seeing the story get better. So with my first published book, having a content editor for the first time was such a joy to go back and forth. And I loved seeing that story just get better and better with each pass. So yeah, the editing is the most magical part for me.